My Other Half, authored by Phillips. This story is one that I channeled. This story is a sacred story, for this story is composed of energies, of experiences of my soul. I hope you enjoy. Chapter 1, Atum&Anat. The time is what you would refer to as 1560 BC. I am Anat, the daughter of Pharaoh Mose, at a time when the northern kingdom is set to join forces with the southern kingdom to form the greatest coalition of past and present times. My life was planned for me. Before I knew the kingdom as home, when I was still a part of my mother's womb, it was planned that I would be wed to the son named Sobek of the Pharaoh of the southern kingdom. If I had a choice, I would accept to be wed to my true love, Atum. Choices are what I do not have. I pray my Atum forgives me for betraying our love. If not this lifetime, I pray for forgiveness in the next. If my father knew I am as acquainted with Atum's golden skin as he is acquainted with my ivory skin, he would have us both killed. Our love is not sanctioned by the customs of the land, for Atum is eternally indebted to my father. Atum's father was a craftsman of my father. When Atum's father transitioned to the afterlife, my father took Atum under his wing as a mentee. My father introduced Atum to the teachings of craftsmanship. This elevated Atum from being an orphan peasant. I am set to be queen. So, you see, I have no choice in the matter, and neither does Atum. Still, he insists we run away together. A foolish notion, for there is nowhere for me to hide. You are to my heart as the sun is to the sky, Atum says as he slyly passes into my sleeping chambers. You are to my soul as the moon is to the night's eve, I retort in an assertive whisper. If the Pharaoh finds us, Atum cuts my words short with the most passionate kiss to my lips as his hands finds his way inside of me. Atum's touch penetrates my body in a way that I feel his warmth in my soul. As he mounts me on his warm body, our eyes lock in recognition. I know his eyes all too well. My soul remembers what my mind betrayed me in forgetting. I've known his eyes and have recognized his spirit 1,000 earths before. Atum thrusts deeper inside of me in a way to ensure that my mind doesn't forget what his touch feels like in the future lives to wash on our shores. My Atum's stature is that of a magnificently molded man, with a chiseled physique encased by his sun-kissed skin. My Atum's skin glows as if the sun and him are one. My Atum's eyes are framed by his bristling brows. My Atum has eyes I would recognize in any crowd. Eyes I promised to recognize lifetimes before. Eyes that see me. I live a life in which it is not acceptable to be me. My Atum knows my heart. My Atum I have shown my flaws. My Atum still loves me with persistence, even in the times when all I have for him is vengeance. I am frustrated with this life because it is not mine. My father does not see me. My mother, herself, does not express her own mind. So you see, I am a prisoner to this life, and this my Atum knows. My Atum found within me a space that still glows. My Atum found light within me I thought had been extinguished years ago. My Anat. The beauty of her I see. From her skin that reminds me of the night's gleam. to her eyes that shine like the stars in the sky. The same eyes I remember from lifetimes past that were ours. Herself I reminded her to know. In this life, she has been forced to wear a facade, characterizing herself as an aloof clone. Herself I reminded her to know. In this life, she has been forced to wear a facade, characterizing her as an aloof clone. This facade has camouflaged her with her surroundings. The truth of my Anat is one of vibrant complexities. You cannot describe my Anat with a list that is not numbered by 1A, 1B, 1C. I am a craftsman of her father's, and she is said to be queen. So, you see, my Anat and I once again live in a world where our love cannot be. The following sunrise, the day begins with a reminder that last Eve's bliss cannot be held into Atum&Anat's days. Atum is consulting with the Pharaoh in regards to the organizing of the ceremony in which I am set to be wed to a man other than my Atum. Life's cruel ironies. My heart beats with Atum in mind, as does his heart beat with the same intentions as mine. Why? Why would the gods be so cruel as to bring us together when they know we are something we cannot have? Thoughts that burn in my mind as the sun burns into the land's sand. I am preparing myself for the day's formalities. Pain. Pain is what I feel. My heart and soul bleed with the notion of leaving home to join Sobek on the throne. My Atum. My Atum. I sob at the notion of never seeing him again. Anat, the Pharaoh will see you now. A servant calls for me from the entrance of my room. My father, the Pharaoh, he sees the way Atum and I glow in each other's presence. There is no way not to recognize the connection of our souls. Is this why the Pharaoh has moved up the ceremony 2 cycles ahead of time? I meet my father in his common room where he, his workers, and Atum await me. My body shivers with the meeting of Atum's energy to mine. Yes, Pharaoh, I say to my father. Anat, sit. My father demands of me. We need to gather some understanding. My father continues. You think I know not what transpires in my home? You and Atum are to not speak again. You disgrace my name. You disgrace a kingdom constructed by our ancestors. But father, I attempt to interrupt. My father cuts into such an attempt. Child, you know better than to speak out of turn. You and Atum are to not contact one another after this day. Atum stood within steps and an arm's reach away from me, but now it feels as if we are ravaging oceans apart. Tears well up in Atum's eyes as my eyes are met with the same display of sorrow. My father exclaims, Atum, I have half the mind to have you killed. I speak out of turn again. Father, no. My wet eyes are now exposed as tears roll down my face. Anat. My father declared in a way to tell me to compose myself. I will not have Atum killed, for his father was a dear friend of mine. But Atum, you are not to be seen or heard from in this kingdom or the southern kingdom again. You are banished from ever showing your face in my lands. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Atum begins. I know no shame in loving Anat, for I believe we were created to find the purest form of love in one another. You banished me in this lifetime. But I promise you, my Anat, I will find you in the next. My knees buckle at my Atum's words. I knew Atum to keep his promises. As I wish there were a way for me to keep mine. disregarding the terms set forth by my father would ensure Atum's execution. My Atum, our eyes locked for what I thought would be the last time. My Atum and I once again live in a world where our love cannot be. Atum, see your way out. My father, the Pharaoh, says to Atum. As Atum walks past me, I know he dares not say a word. My Atum and I's eyes communicate to tell each other, I love you. My heart jumps as I feel the energy of my Atum leave the room. Will we ever see each other again in this lifetime? My heart says, yes. Yet, my mind does not understand how Atum will be a sight I will ever see after this day. My father is a cruel man. For Atum to return to his lands after banishment, my Atum would surely meet his death. Anat, my father calls to reestablish my attention. Yes, father, I answer my father. My father continues as he, begrudgingly, tells me who I am to be. You are Sobek's soon-to-be wife. What are you really worth to a husband as you have been touched by the likes of a craftsman? You are tainted. These are the revelations that will not be revealed to the royal family of the Southern Kingdom, from which Sobek hails. You are a pure woman whose purpose is to please her husband. Do you understand, Anat? I know not of what my father speaks. I love Atum. Atum is an ornate soul in which complements mine like the colors on the opposite ends of the spectrum of hues. Our souls were created with the same rare stones. My Atum is home. Still, I answer the Pharaoh. Yes, father. The Pharaoh knows not of what he speaks. The love that is Anat and I is a love that is unique as it is our own. The energy that is the love between Anat and me is an energy that I recognize and feel as home. A life without Anat is a life not worth living. To give up, I will not. I will be back for my Anat. It has been what you would understand to be 7 days since I last laid eyes on my Anat. Still, I feel her. My heart skips a beat as a way to say my Anat is never far away. No matter where we are on this earth, my Anat and I are always in each other's presence. My heart palpitates to remind me of this fact. I have been banished from the lands by the Pharaoh. I should not be here, says the fury of the Pharaoh. I will not leave without my Anat. If death is the price I have to pay in the transaction of the attempt to possess my love with Anat, then death is the currency I have to spare. I will not make my presence known as I await the grand ceremony in which my Anat is said to be erroneously wed to the prince of the Southern Kingdom, Sobek. During the ceremony, I shall make my love for Anat known to all, as I have nothing that shall go missed without the warmth of Anat's name written next to my own. If nothing else, I shall remind my Anat of our love. If nothing else, my Anat will know I died with her name on my breath. My other half, chapter 1, Atum&Anat. What have I learned about myself? Atum&Anat. What have I learned about myself? I learned that the greatest obstacle between ourselves and our wildest dreams, the things that we want and desire the most, are obstacles that lie within, are energies that lie within, energies that manifest into our reality and create the obscurity, the perceived obstacles, the illusion of obstacles. I wrote or channeled this story at the forefront of the expansiveness, the expedited expansiveness into the journeying of my soul, the journeying of God, the journeying of creation. And as I wrote and channeled it, I knew it was a good story, a great story. I knew it was a good story. Did I appreciate? Was I able to glean from the story what the story was trying to show me? Perhaps. I gleaned what I was supposed to glean in the moment. Just like the cycles of life, we go through cycles that seem to be repetitive, but we're being taught new levels of lessons in every cycle of the repetition. So now, what am I gleaning from Atum&Anat? The greatest obstacles that we perceive in our reality are only obstacles and energies that we hold within, are only energies and obscurities that we hold within. Going within, meditating, spending time with yourself to be able to distinguish that those obstacles, those energies are an illusion. They are separate from your truth. They are not one with your truth. The illusions are not one with your truth. What do I mean when I say the illusions are not one with your truth? You do not have to be the illusions. You do not have to accept the illusions as your truth, as your identity. And as we allow ourselves to pry away from the energies of the illusions that we took on as our identities, as we allow ourselves to pry away from the obscurities that we took on as our identities, we allow ourselves to be liberated from those obscurities, from those perceived obstacles in our lives. And as we allow ourselves to be liberated from those obscurities, from those perceived obstacles of our lives, we create realities that mirror the liberations from the obscurities, from the perceived obstacles in our lives. I hope you have enjoyed chapter 1 of My Other Half, again authored by me, Ashley Phillips. I love you. Love on yourself, as we are all only and gratefully and greatly dimensions and aspects of the one creation that we know as God. Bye.